of how we define ghosts or how we conceive of ghosts. For example, can you catch a ghost? No, that's not part of the same old story. Like Ghostbusters makes for a good movie, but if ghosts are real, you can't have Ghostbusters. Why? Because ghosts can do what? They walk through walls. They're not subject to like thermodynamics and gravity and things like that, right? A ghost doesn't fall off a cliff, right? Think about that, yeah? Okay, so if that's true then, so if ghosts don't interact with the physical world, right? How do you see them? How do you hear them? It doesn't make any sense, right? And so if something does not interact with the physical world, then how do you see them? How do photons, what is there for a photon to bounce off of into your retina if ghosts can go through walls? Right? That doesn't make any sense. Let's see, this is the intro class, right? Yeah. So this is going to come back, no pun intended. This is going to come back to haunt us. Oh, that was good. Never made it before. This is going to come back to haunt us because when we do philosophy of mind, there's going to be a similar problem between mind and body. This is what's called the mind-body problem. It's a legitimate, real problem that's been around, well, it's been around for a long time, but specifically been around for about 350 years, and we have yet to solve it. We have yet to solve it. The mind-body problem. It's a problem of causation between something non-physical and something physical. Right? So if ghosts, here's another thing, if ghosts can walk through walls, like, pretend I'm not here, right? So pretend I'm here, this is me, right? That doesn't surprise anybody. You're not shocked by that. Now pretend I'm a ghost. Ghosts are immaterial, right? They walk through walls, you can't catch them. That would be freaky. You would be legitimately freaked out. No tricks, there's no wind or wires or anything if this just all of a sudden moved, right? You say a ghost. How? If something's non-material, like we say ghosts are, definitions, how we say ghosts are, then how do ghosts do anything? Much less you see them, what are you afraid of exactly? Assuming they actually exist. They're immaterial. Then how would you even know they're there? Right? So on one sense, ghosts seem contradictory. Not that this is just physically, not to mention theologically, right? Right? For example, if you're Catholic, you don't have to be Catholic, but Christian in general, but if you're Catholic, you shouldn't believe in ghosts. Why? Because from a theological standpoint, with what the religion says, when you die, you go somewhere. And it's not haunting earth. So, yeah, I mean, if you're serious about your theological positions and you know anything about your theological positions, I say Catholicism because it's what I'm most familiar with, you're not supposed to believe in ghosts. Or you can use the word ghost as long as what you mean by that is like the soul and spirit. But you can't believe that they're just roaming here on earth because there's a place for them. That's part of the Catholic theology. Not to mention the physical aspect of ghosts, right? And so sometimes we want to challenge, right, this. So if you're a hard believer in ghosts, right, then it conflicts or contradicts with other things that we may or may not believe in, which means maybe the definition of a ghost has to change. Which is, hey man, whatever, if it has to change, it has to change. But notice, if you change the definition of ghost, well, people will say is like, well, ghost is just like a ghost is just your life energy or something, right? Like, okay, I'm getting fault. Problem with energy is that energy is mass. Sort of like basic high school physics, right? Energy and mass are interchangeable. So if you say something is energy, you are simultaneously saying it has mass, right? It's a different form of mass, let's say. Then, okay, great, fine. I'm not saying it's not possible, but that conflicts with the same old story about what ghosts are. And that also conflicts with, say, if you're religious, a religious conception of what soul is. Yeah? Souls aren't supposed to be physical things that have mass. I'm not saying it's not true, it's just that conflicts with, and so now you have a further sort of problem to deal with. Does that make sense to you? But by doing this, by introducing sort of these counterexamples, that's a way of intellectually testing the concepts, right? And in some cases with unicorn, not a big deal. Things like ghosts, a little bit more of a big deal. Yeah. Does that kind of address that issue? Does that make sense? So what do you do? What do you do? Yeah. Ultimately, that's up to you. I think some things are simple when it comes to like ghosts and unicorns, but ultimately, it's a decision you gotta make. But hopefully, you spend some time thinking about that stuff. Yeah. Not to mention, again, things that are really important to us, like the concept of life. I keep meaning to bring that journal in, the cover of that journal, so I can show you. Would someone email me, just really quick, just get on Canvas and email me and remind me to bring that journal in about life, so I can show you. Yeah. Okay. So in a nutshell, that's kind of what we covered up to this point. Other comments, questions about that? Anything else I can sort of clear up and so on? I will say one thing. It is important that I know there's a tendency to sort of compartmentalize your classes and so on. And obviously, there's different types of classes and different types of material. And there's some material, say like, I don't know, this isn't bad, but there's some material like history maybe, or biology, where a large part of it is just memorization, which isn't a bad thing. It's just part of the nature of things. I mean, there's some memorization here too, right? So clearly, but I urge you to think about what we're doing here and what the goal is. This is about your mind. This isn't simply about remembering stuff. It's about you and how you think about the world. This is about you and your intellectual capacity. And my job and my sole concern is trying to grow that and help grow that for you. Right? That's the only thing I care about. I mean, obviously I care about your well-being and things like that. But professionally, I care about you being concerned about your intellectual state of affairs. To that end, on the one hand, yes, you got to memorize some stuff and so on, right? But on the other hand, I hope by doing that you're able to slowly incorporate that into your own approach to the world. Otherwise, in one sense, this is pointless. And it's obviously not pointless. Does that make sense? So I do hope, and I tell you that as a way of making it personal, because when you can personalize something, generally you'll pay more attention to it. Does that make sense? So if you look at it that way, I hope that's just some motivation for you. Okay, comments, questions about any of this so far? Okay, the rat works like the following. So we'll come in. Like I said, we won't do it before, I don't see us doing it before Wednesday. So if we do it next week, it'll be Wednesday. More than likely, it'll be not next week, but the Monday after that. And so so we'll see where we get today. And yeah, so what, that'd be 2 weeks from now, roughly? Okay. Yeah. So 1, 2. Right, today's Wednesday. Sorry, I'm thinking today's Monday, right? Today's Wednesday. Yeah. So today, Monday, Wednesday, yeah. And then that Monday. So more than likely it's going to be on that Monday. It might be that Wednesday. It just depends, right? Okay. So what's going to happen is we'll come in and I will give you a a question that's similar to what you are going to have on the exam. Okay? And you'll come in, I'll probably let you use your notes and your readings and whatever, and you're going to spend about 30 minutes answering the question to the best of your ability. And just like write as much as you can to try to answer the question in as much detail as you can. The whole goal of all of this, the exams included, is to convince me that you understand the material. Okay? What you do with it in the end, that's up to you. I hope you take it seriously, but whatever. That's your job. So I'm looking to see that you are sincere and you're not giving me like bullshit answers. That you're sincere and that you are knowledgeable, right? And oh, it's the projector from the projector screen. Oh, that's annoying. Okay. I wish noises didn't bother me so much. I get so distracted by little things like that. Okay, to show me you're serious and to show me that you have some genuine understanding of the material. So you'll write for about 30 minutes trying to answer just that one question. And you should take that whole time. Okay? Don't, it's not as easy as it might seem. Then we're going to pass it. However, we'll figure out that day how we're going to pass it. We'll pass it to someone next to you or behind you or something like that. And then that person is going to read your stuff, right? Take about 10 minutes, read it, think about it, right? So your handwriting is going to need to be, pretty decent. And then you're going to respond to them, given your knowledge of the material. You're going to try to be critical of them and respond in whatever way to what they wrote, whether you think they're accurate or not, and why. Okay? It's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to do, but you can do it in a short period of time. And then we're going to spend, 20 minutes. So I'll gather it, then we'll spend 20 minutes talking about your approach to it, what you did, how you studied, how you think the material, how you think you understood the material, right? Then I'll go home, grade it. I'm going to grade your response to the question, and I'm going to grade your response to the student. So I'm going to read your response, then I'm going to look at this response, right? And I'm going to grade both of you and give you a grade on that. Then I'm going to find you and your response to somebody and grade you. So your grade is actually going to be 2 parts. It doesn't show that in the grade book, but it's I might change that just so you can see it. So the grade you get is actually 2 parts: how you responded to the question and how you responded to the other student, right? So there should be some incentive, right? If the personal incentive isn't enough for you and just making yourself smarter, and I guarantee you if you take this seriously, you will be smarter, and it'll affect everything, then at least know that your work in this class might affect or probably will affect another student, because they're going to read your response and adjust to it. And if your response is shit, then you're not doing your fellow student any service. Does that make sense? Okay, so at least, if this doesn't motivate you, then at least consider your fellow students. Okay, then we're going to do it again a few weeks later, and then you're going to have the midterm. And the midterm, a week before the midterm, I'm going to hand you about 6 questions. No more than 6, no fewer than 4, right? And then you'll come, and if you have 4 questions, you're going to answer those 4 questions in class in an hour and 20 minutes. It's difficult to do well, but that's why you get the questions ahead of time so you can practice. One reason I have you do the rats also is to practice, like, it physically, because it can be difficult. And if you're not practicing at home, I'm going to at least try to force you to have the experience a couple of times before you actually do it. Because sitting down and writing for an hour and 20 minutes can actually fatigue your hand. And so you need to practice this. Okay? So there is a physical component to this. If that's a problem for somebody, let me know. It needs to be documented and so on. But and then once that's done, we're going to do it all over again. Yeah? Okay. Does that make sense? Yeah. Any other questions about any of this? Anything about anything? Nothing about nothing, huh?
We're just having the rats, the midterm, and then the final. Right?
4 rats, a midterm, and a final. So 2 rats, midterm, 2 rats, final. Yeah.
And the final's gonna be something similar.
Same, it's going to be the exact same thing. And the final will cover everything since the midterm to the final. Yeah. But people tend to underestimate the writing part of it. And and the seriousness of it. This isn't high school. I expect serious answers, you know, complete sentences, no bullet points, you know. Yeah, I mean, you'll see. But we're behind because we have 2 days. So, 1 I didn't, well, I guess 2 I didn't plan. Okay, let's see. Take a mental break, stretch, reset. It's weird. 3 weeks already, we're in week 3, and I've only seen you guys, what, twice? That's strange. I've seen the other class 5 times already. It's just so, it's weird. It's a weird, strange set of affairs. All right. Let's talk about argument. I'm going to do something similar. I'll erase this. I'll do this again, but keep this in mind. Scribble it down in your notes. Take a picture of it or something. It's up to you. You're going to see plenty more stuff like this. So just keep this in mind. But I want to use this side of the board here. I want to do something similar that we did with table. I'm not going to take as long to do it. I'm not going to be as dramatic about it because you get the picture now. But I do want to show you something. And again, this is part of the philosophical attitude, and as you were saying, it's part, or how you said it, it's part of like, what did you say about countering a definition? What was the word used? Not countering, but yeah, there was another one. Contesting.
That's a deny.
You said contesting a definition? It started with a C. What's the word? Contesting a definition. Challenging a definition. Okay. This kind of has to do with challenging definitions, right? Told it started with a C. Okay. So when we think of the word argument, and I don't want you to think about this too much. Just you know, and we can do this quickly. We can do this more quickly than what we did at table. In your normal everyday use of the word, not just you using it, but hearing other people use it, what do you mean by argument? Or what is meant by an argument? We can do this quick.
Debate.
Huh?
Debate.
You got to speak up. What?
Persuade.
Let's do this. Is persuade with a U?
S-U-A-D-E.
It's P-E-R, P-U-R.
P-E-R.
Yeah, of course it is. You ever do that?
Yes.
Not funny. It's
Always.
like simple words, everyday words like hammer. Like I remember spelling the word hammer once, and I'm like, I spelled it correctly, but I was like, it just looked weird all of a sudden. Okay, sorry. It happens. Persuade. What else? What else? Just how you normally use the word, how you normally encounter the word in the wild.
Opinion.
What?
Personal point of view.
I'm not catching that.
Personal point of view.
Personal opinion, you said?
Point of view.
Point of view.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you asking me or telling? It sounded like a question. Are you asking me or telling me? Okay. What else? Surely there's more.
Unreasonable.
Unreasonable?
Yep.
Okay. That's an interesting response. I've never heard that before.
I mean, when people argue, I mean, they just go by emotion.
Okay, interesting. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about this, so I'm interested to hear about this. What else?
Challenge.
Disagree.
One more? Problem? That's a new one too. That's a new one for me. Problem, okay.
I'm just trying to think of it.
No. Just as long as you're being sincere, as long as like you're sincere in this. If you think that when you hear the word argument sometimes, this is what you think, then that's fine. Yeah. Okay. We can do more, but this is fine. Okay. What do you notice about this? Think of our exercise with table, for example. Well, what do you notice about this? Okay. Hold on, let me look really quick. Okay. Do you remember what a contradiction is? What's a contradiction? Okay, that's one way of kind of saying it. Two propositions that are incompatible. Two propositions that cannot be true together simultaneously. That applies to concepts. Two concepts that cannot be true together simultaneously. So take our notion of contradiction, take our notion of counterexample, and ask yourself, is there anything here so anything in this list that is contradictory to something else on the list? And then think in terms of a counterexample to an argument to what's on this list. Can you think of something that we call an argument that is not on this list? Does that make sense to you?
Wait, can you repeat that last
Yeah.
part?
Well, let me repeat the whole thing. Yeah. So think about what's on this list and ask yourself, is there anything on this list that contradicts anything else on the list? That can't be true together. Two, the second part of this is think in terms of a counterexample. Is there a counterexample to something we would call an argument that isn't on this list? That makes sense? Okay? So go. Let's do the first one. Is there anything contradictory here?
I think debate and fight.
A debate and okay. A debate and a fight. So what is a debate? You know what a debate is? So let's ask. I don't want to get too nitpicky here because we could do this all day, right? But what is a debate? Anyone ever been on a debate club or anything? So there's at least two definitions of debate, right? There's the formal kind of definition. Is that what you mean by debate? He said debate. Do you mean the formal or the informal? So if you mean the formal, right, then a debate is what? Those of you who are on a debate club, what is a debate?
Something you believe.
No, well, it's actually the opposite of that. If you're on a debate club, one of the first things you have to do is take up a position that you don't believe in and argue for it, which is it's a very philosophical sound tactic. You need to be able to argue for things that you don't believe in. Otherwise, if you're arguing against something and you can't articulate the other side's position, then all that shows is you don't understand the position you're arguing against. And so if you're in a debate, you often have to argue for something, that you don't believe in, which tells us something. A formal debate isn't about truth or falsity. It's about what? Persuasion. It's about persuading the audience. You win a debate formally by having persuaded an audience. It's not about truth or falsity, and therefore not about what you actually believe in. What's the other version of debate? Where's debate? There it is. What's the other version of debate? The informal. Two people disagreeing with each other, right? What do we mean by fight? It could, so one version is actually like physical, and another version is what? Verbal, right? But both are typically kind of aggressive, right? Can you have a debate and that aggression simultaneously? Yeah. So that's not a contradiction. There's an explicit contradiction in there. Yeah. That's weird. Right? If by argument we as a group mean simultaneously something reasonable and something unreasonable, that is explicitly a contradiction. Right? That's an absurdity. So we can't mean that, because that renders our... If this is what we mean when we're talking amongst ourselves, if that's what we mean by argument, then we're talking nonsense. Because you can't have a concept of something that is both reasonable and unreasonable. Does that make sense? Okay. What else? What do you mean by problem? What do you mean by problem?
Sometimes you have to have have to argue about certain problems. I don't know, whatever. I don't know. I just thought about it.
So okay, no, it's fine. But this is part of the thing, right? You say something, I press you, and I say, what do you mean by that? Like, you remember like the first day of class? You remember what I told you? Like we all say stuff. We all make claims about things. And when you make a claim, whether it's verbal or you write it out or it's on the internet or something, right? When you make a claim, the moment you make that claim, you open yourself up for criticism. I have a right to say, what do you mean? And it's interesting what happens, something like this. I say, what do you mean and how difficult is it? I don't think you know what you mean. Which is fine, it's fine. It's not a big deal. This is a safe space, right? This is a learning space, but it's fine, right? But notice how that works. Go home and try it. It's, don't be a dick about it, but go home and try it, and just you can be subtle about it. Like somebody says something, a brother, a parent, a friend. It's like, what do you mean by that? And just see what happens. It's really interesting, and you're going to find that it's really hard actually to articulate what you mean by something. I think what you might mean is that when people argue, right, they're usually arguing over some perceived problem. Right. But notice how different it sounds when you articulate it like properly. But does that tell us anything about the nature of an argument? What an argument is? It just tells us how an argument gets started. It doesn't tell us what an argument is. Because an argument, you don't want to say an argument itself is a problem. Right?
I have a question.
Yeah.
During an argument, two people cannot have reason about what they are saying. For example, if I have an opinion and you have another opinion, but we are discussing like things that are not wrong.
Okay.
They are just different opinions. But one don't say that the other is wrong.
Okay. Hold on. Remember what you said.
Okay.
I want to come back to you last. Yeah. No, this is good. It's good. Because there's something there. Yeah. Okay. Let me cut this short here. Well, actually, let's do the second part of this. Now, can you think of Kind of like what you were doing. Can you think of a way we use the word argument that doesn't involve anything on this list? Think of a counterexample to what we mean. So what's the problem with this list then?
It's a lot of words, a definition.
There's a lot of words. There's a lot of concepts involved. If this is the way if this is what we mean by the word argument in our daily life, what's the problem?
We're using the term loosely.
We're using the term incredibly loosely, right? Now, on the one hand, that's fine. Don't get me wrong. I use the word argument like this sometimes because it's just how it's a natural way of doing things, right? So, me and my girlfriend got into an argument. We all kind of know what we mean by that, right? Yeah. So, or I saw two people arguing the other day, right? So I'm going to use the word that way too, but there's a time and place to be sort of formal about this. So if this is what we mean, fine, but you have to realize it's a very loose using of the word. It's not articulate enough. And there's a more formal way of talking about what an argument is. So can you think of another thing, another concept for argument that might better suit our purposes that doesn't involve this? You're on the right. What's your name?
Suzanne.
Suzanne. You're relatively new.
Um,
Were you here the first day?
yeah, no, I was
Okay,
here.
okay.
I was here.
It's been a while, so I've actually forgotten your names. Do I remember anybody's name? I don't remember anybody's name. Damn it. I'm just realizing that. No, I don't remember anybody's name. I don't. Sorry. I was doing good. I got the Tuesday class. I know there's two new people. I don't remember their names, but I remember everybody else's name in that class. But after today, I'll make more of an attempt. I'll make an attempt again to know your name. Sorry. So, Suzanne?
Yes.
Suzanne? Okay. What was my question to you? Oh yeah, it wasn't to you, but it was something similar along the lines of what Suzanne said. What else might we mean by argument here? A little more when I say formal, well, I'm not. You're going to understand what formal means in a little while, but for right now, when I say formal, I mean technical. Let's be a little more technical here. Because this is too loose. It's too loose for it to do any sort of good.
When people they bring up their opinion to a same topic, the same concept, and then they bring up their opinion, and then they disagree with the opposite of the concept.
Okay. Opinion, in a sense, has something to do with this. So let's take that word opinion. There's another word here. I'm going to give you a definition of argument here in a little while. But underneath the auspices of argument, we have, do you remember that word? What is a proposition? Remember what a proposition is? So again, on the one hand, there are things you should just commit to memory. Just like a history or a biology class. There are certain terms that you should commit to memory. But two, I'm suggesting if you make this personal, it should make it easier. There's a direct relationship between these words and how you think. That is not abstract. That's not some biological or historical theory you got to work through. There is a direct relationship between all of these words and literally how you think. What is a proposition? It's a claim about the world that
Is true or false?
is either true or false. We don't always. I get excited and I gotta be like, okay. What are you doing when you believe? Has to do with this. You said one of the words earlier. It's a four-letter word. Starts with D. Okay. What do we do with propositions? We either
Assert.
not. So assert means to, sort of say it say it out, we mean assent, to say yes to, or we do what? We say no to. So if there's a proposition and I assent to it, what am I doing? I'm saying, yes, I believe that that proposition is true. And if I deny it, I'm saying, I do not believe that the proposition is true. Okay? So what's the relationship then between, how do I do this here? What's the difference between, say, belief and opinion? Because there's a difference. They're related, and I'm not going to make a big deal about it in this class for several reasons, but there is kind of like there's a big distinction between the two things. What's the difference, do you think, between a belief and opinion?
Belief might have a more emotional attachment to you than just an opinion.
Okay, interesting, good. That's, yeah, possibly, quite possibly. Maybe not, it depends maybe what the belief is about. Sure. So if the belief's about God, sure, I can see that. If your belief's about unicorns, I guess I can see that too. Fair enough, fair. Yeah, okay, what else?
If you have that faith to believe.
If you say that, to someone like me, that sounds, are you talking like faith in, just in general?
Yeah.
Whether it's unicorns or electricity or God?
Like faith in the belief, the thing you believe in.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Again, hold on, I want to come back to that. And I'm going to give you a chance to think about what you're saying relative to what we're going to say here. Okay? And then think in terms of maybe a possible contradiction or inconsistency. Having faith in your belief. Think about that for a second. Okay? I'll come back to it. What do you think the difference might be between belief and opinion? The act of believing is personal. Certainly the act of the mental sort of thing, that's personal, no doubt about that.
And when you show the opinion, it means like open up for the more things, like more side of the concept with the opinion, like you open up more.
Okay. So here, I'm going to get this out of you. So, okay. Think in terms of, I'll give you a hint. Think in terms of truth or falsity. What distinction might we want to make between belief and opinion if we care about what's true and what's false, if we care about being correct believers? And again, keep thinking about what you just said. Okay? The relationship between faith and belief, assuming they're two different things. What might we say is the difference between belief and opinion?
There's more consistency in belief.
Go on, say more.
When you say you believe in something good, you're holding on to truth or proof or something like that.
Can you give me an example? Good, excellent. Can you give me an example of something that might be a belief as opposed to, let's say, a mere opinion?
Let's say I'm holding on something because I believe that this is the something.
Okay. Would we call that an opinion?
No, because I can see visually that this is the something.
Right. So there's something different. Can you give me an opinion?
I'd say
Come on, give me an opinion.
Your tennis shoes match well with your suit.
Okay. I think they do too. That's why I have it.
I'd say you're not holding a phone since it's smaller.
But
It doesn't look like a cell
Okay, good. So let's take these, right? So let me simplify. There is a cell phone on the desk. Right? It's not quite what you said, but it gets at the same kind of point. And then the tennis shoes look good with the suit.
Yes.
Okay. What's the difference between those two things?
There's the truth on, but
Oh, this is fascinating. No, I love this. This is what motivates me. It really is. Okay. All these words, I know. This has to go under here, so. Okay, let's talk about hold this. Give you one more word, give you a definition of it, let's talk about it, then we're gonna come back to the watch and the shoes, okay? And then en route to answering this dilemma here. Okay. I'll just, in lieu of time, I'll give you a definition here. Let's define fact as the following. Fact is going to be a proposition, right, that is confirmed, a proposition that is confirmed to such a degree, that to deny provisional assent would be an absurdity. A fact is a proposition that is confirmed to such a degree that to deny provisional assent would be an absurdity. A fact is a proposition that is confirmed to such a degree that to deny provisional assent would be an absurdity. Okay? Now, let's all do this as an exercise. Given our native psychology and just our physicalness, let's use all of our powers that we have to verify the truth of something. And let's look back, what's your name? John, and hold on. I said hold on. I was going to try to remember.
Sorry.
Okay. John and Suzanne. Okay. Now let's look back, those of you who can see, and look at where John's sitting. Is there a phone, as best you can tell, is there a phone in front of him? By show of hands, who says yes? Okay. So we're assenting to the proposition there is a phone in front of John. Yes? Keep this in mind. There is a phone in front of John. Is that something you believe? Yeah. Now, could you be wrong?
no. Yes. If you're not inside this room, then.
Okay, no. We're talking everybody in this room. Is it possible? It's not up there. Whatever. Is it possible that you're mistaken in seeing a phone?
Yes.
Yeah. Is it likely?
No.
No. Right. Everything we know about the world, everything we think about the world in terms of truth and falsity, we don't have reason to think our eyes are failing us. We have no reason to think that's a dummy phone or nobody has like. Do you remember iPods? Do they still have iPods? Okay. Anybody not know what I'm talking about? Okay. Sorry. Nobody has iPods anymore because that could have been mistaken for an iPod, right, and so on. Everything points to the fact that that's a phone. To the point, there's such a consensus that if you said, no, there's not a phone, that would be weird, right? That's what we mean by a fact, okay? So, fact has something to do with truth or falsity confirmed to such a degree that to deny provisional assent, what is provisional? Provisional assent, it's saying yes to, provided that I could be wrong and I will change my mind in light of better information. That's what provisional means. Yeah? Okay. So, we give provisional assent. We say, yes, it's a fact that there's a phone in front of John. That's what we mean by fact. Okay? So, in terms of truth or falsity, we're assenting to a proposition. We're saying yes, and that's what we believe. Okay. What about the shoes matching? Can we say the same thing? Is it a fact? Okay, so this might get a little weird, but who thinks the shoes match the suit? Okay, it's weird, right?
I mean, the color matches.
Whatever you mean by the word match, like that's up to you. So who thinks the shoes match? Okay. Okay. What's the difference? Oh, hold on. Let's do by show of hands. Up, nice and high, nice and high. Let me see. Who thinks they match? Who thinks they do not? Okay. Interesting. Okay. Not a consensus, first of all, right? So in terms of, let's just say we're the deciding body, then it wouldn't be a fact that they match, first of all. But let's say everybody did raise their hands, or let's say everybody didn't raise their hands. What's the difference between the two propositions? The shoes match the suit, and there's a phone on top of the table. What's the difference? The shoes are just a matter of taste. There is no fact of the matter. Matching is a perception. That's it. It's not true that it matches. Now, there's a limited sense in which it's true. Like we all kind of know, but it's not like matching is part of the world. It's just something we prefer. Does that make sense to you? So I can go ahead and say, yeah, it's true that it matches as long as we know what we're talking about. I'm not making a metaphysical claim about the world, where if I say there is a phone on top of the table, I am making a metaphysical claim about the world. I'm saying there's an object that exists that is part of the world, and it happens to be in front of John. The shoes match. I like how they look. Right? So I can say, I don't like vanilla ice cream. I think it's true. I think it's pointless. I'll eat it at a birthday party or something, but I see no point to vanilla ice cream. Chocolate ice cream, basically any other flavor than vanilla, fine. But it might be true that Dan doesn't like vanilla ice cream, but it's not like it's true that vanilla ice cream is the worst kind of ice cream. That's not a proposition. That's just an opinion. That's what we mean. So beliefs are propositions that we think are actually true. Right? Are you with me on this? Okay. Now, work through this now. You said we have to have faith in our belief or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't want to misstate what you said.
Yeah, that's right.
Something like, okay. What's the problem with that?
It's,
Or what might you think the problem is?
I think your belief, there's no like consensus to it. It's really like based on you and stuff. Because some people might disagree.
Okay. All right. Um, 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. That's a mathematical truth, yes? It's a mathematical proposition that we believe to be true. And if you say no to that, that's weird. It's not just weird because of consensus, but it's weird because you can't prove it's not true without using another form of mathematics. Okay? Which means 1 plus 1 is not just true, but it's necessarily true. It must be true. Now, given that we believe that proposition, yeah, it would be weird to be of the opinion that 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. Because it's a necessary truth. It has to be true. It cannot fail to be true. So what do you mean you have an opinion that it's true? You believe it or not. And if you don't believe it, right, then you're misbelieving. Okay? Now, let's take God, for example. Let's say you believe God exists. Now, presumably, either God exists or doesn't. I think we can all agree to that. It's not whether you believe it or not, but either God exists or God doesn't exist. There's kind of like no in between. It's kind of like the phone. The phone is either there or it's not. Yes? Okay. Now, you believe God exists. I don't know what you believe. Just don't tell me. But let's just say you believe God exists, and let's say you believe God doesn't exist. I don't know. Don't tell me. It doesn't matter. Right? Okay. Is this merely a matter of opinion? Okay. Merely, meaning only. No, because there is a fact of the matter. Now, we might not be able to decide factually, we might not be able to verify whether God exists or not, in which case maybe it's an opinion, but the underlying truth, the underlying thing there, the foundation is that there is truth to the matter. There's no truth to the matter here. This is only an opinion, right? Your belief in God might also be an opinion, but it's an opinion because we don't necessarily have a way of verifying whether God exists or not. Does that make sense to you? And so to say we have faith in our belief, I don't have faith that my belief that 1 + 1 is equal to 2 is true. I just have the belief that it's true. That's what a belief is. It's the assenting to the proposition. You see what I mean? There is no having faith in my belief. You believe it or you don't. Right? Yeah, so that becomes sort of weird to say, yeah? Okay. You with me? I know that's a lot. That's it's a little. I'll give you some words for this. So what we're doing, just so you know, you don't have to worry about this, but this you have to worry about. You don't need to worry about this word, but it is going to come up. Epistemology, the word episteme is the Greek word for knowledge. So an epistemologist is someone who studies the nature of knowledge. What counts as knowledge? What do we know? How do we know that we know? That sort of thing, right? That's knowledge. Or that's epistemology. So this is sort of brief epistemology. And I'm not saying this is all there is to it. This is just a small part of it. I'm not saying this is the only way to think about it, but I got to give you something to get going, right? There are distinctions between belief and opinion. Opinion isn't about truth or falsity. Belief is about truth or falsity. Belief counts as knowledge. Opinion does not count as knowledge. Okay? You might be of the opinion of something. That doesn't mean it's knowledge. Belief, if it's true, counts as knowledge. Okay? Right. So you don't have knowledge that the suit matches, believe me. It sounds weird. You're just of the opinion that it matches, or doesn't. Okay. All right. So then, what is an argument? Again, for the sake of time here. Oh, any comments, questions about this? If there's a question, now's the time to ask it.
Could you redefine provisional?
Right. So in this case, we're going to take the word together. Provisional as the phrase. Provisional assent. When I assent to something, I say yes to it. Right? Like unconditionally. I say yes to it. Like, if I give provisional assent, you know what? Here, watch. I'll give you a kind of a tangible example here. Amazon. We all know Amazon. Okay. Have you returned stuff on Amazon? Okay. So this is what happens when you return something on Amazon. You do the refund, right? And they'll say, okay, like the most recent time I did, they said, we've given you a provisional refund, right? And so they credit the money to the account or the bank or whatever. I usually just do my Amazon account. A provisional, so they're going to give me the money provisionally. So it's there and I can use it, but if they don't get the package, or if what's in the package is different than what they're expecting, they're going to expect me to pay them back. That's provisional. So when I give provisional assent, I'm saying yes to, under the condition that if circumstances change, I'm going to revoke my assent, and I'll either deny or withhold judgment. That's what we mean. So confirmed to such a degree, to such a consensus, that to deny provisional assent, to say, no, I'm not going to provisionally say yes to this, would be absurd. It would be absurd if you said there is no phone in front of John. There's no real reason to think that. You could be wrong, and if better information came, then we should certainly change our mind, and hence provisional. But for right now, if you said, no, there's no phone in front of John, I'd look funny at you. You with me? Yeah. Whereas, change your mind about this all day long, because it affects nothing. See what I mean? There is no truth to the, there is no fact of the matter of whether I match or not. Or if we do want to say there's a fact, we can't mean it in any strong sense. It's only an opinion. It's not knowledge. You don't know that Dan's suit matches, oddly enough. I know that's a weird thing to say. You just are of the opinion that it matches. That's equivalent to saying, I like the way Dan's suit looks. That's all you're saying. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Anything else?
Do you have a clock in that suit?
I don't have a clock. I got a watch.
A pocket watch.
Pocket watch. That tells time, yes.
Does it work?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I didn't set it, now that you mention it. Oh. It's an hour behind. Yeah, it worked. Cool one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trying to bring it back. All right. You with me? Okay, so sort of basic epistemology. When we come back next time, we're going to talk more about arguments. So I'll give you a definition of arguments, and then we're going to look at different types of arguments. So make sure you do your reading. It'll help. And take what we did today, go back, do the reading, and it'll help also. Yeah, you're free to go. Time is up. Yeah.
I'm writing an argument for why ghosts exist. At
Good.
least why I believe ghosts exist.
Good. Good. I'll when you're done with it, I'd like to read it. Yeah.
I'm trying.
All we can do. All we can do.
I'll have to do some studying about, because
Absolutely.
you see, different religions have different different descriptions of
Yeah.
ghosts.
Yep.
Like you see, Hindus believe that ghosts or the nature of the soul were non-physical. However, Buddhists believe that, well, ghosts or souls are energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So either they are non-physical or they are physical.
Yeah.
and
Or
they
maybe
just-
some third option. I don't know what that would be, but maybe there's a third option.
Perhaps. I mean, if things like the mind exists, which we cannot explain, and I mean, then
Professor, what are
surely,
we supposed to read?
Hold on. Look.
Sorry.
Yeah.
then surely things like ghosts must exist.
Possibly, or maybe mind doesn't exist the way you think it does, or it's entirely possible there is no such thing as mind. So we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. There's no, and you seem to approach it the right way. Yeah, but yeah, you're going to need to do some study.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What are we supposed to read?
it's on the syllabus, and actually for you guys, it might not. There's one of my classes on today that I still need to update the syllabus. Was it you guys? No. Anyway, it's on syllabus, and it's on the, more importantly, it's on the modules. So we're only covering 2 readings at this point. There's the chapter 2 and the taxonomy of intellectual.
Okay.
So that's where you should have read both of those by now.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, come in. Welcome. Haven't seen you in a while. things have worked out. Yeah, it turns out like that sometimes. I knew they were going to cancel class. I knew it. Yeah, this organization, this is my favorite place to hate. This is my favorite job I've ever had. It's a great job. I'm happy to be here. I'll never work anywhere else. But sometimes this place just frustrates me to no end, and they tend to overreact with things. And I knew they were going to shut this place down for at least a day. And I'm like, why? It's not gonna snow. We're gonna barely any ice. I saw a little bit of moisture on the first day, and then it was dry ever since. But I knew they were gonna shut this place down. So. But it made for a nice weekend. I actually had a decent weekend. I made a nice cake. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to leave this up here, except for this. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, I thought you were taking like art studio or something. Oh. Okay. Bye. Bye. Or actually, no, I have to go home right now. Bye, Sarah.